Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Deedee. I've started posting book vlogs apparently. I also post weekly vlogs and travel vlogs, particularly Disney related, in case you couldn't tell. I live in the Fort Worth, Texas area with my fiance Kelly and her daughter and our 3 cats and dog. So if you hear lots of noises or see the camera start moving of its own accord, that's why. This week I am sharing a book project I actually started in the spring of 2023, which was a year and a half ago. I turned 50 next August of 2025, and I wanted to read 50 books that were recommended to me by family and friends. So I posted on Facebook and asked family and friends to please share 3 of their favorite books of all time. And from those 3, I would pick 1 from each person. The reason I asked them to share 3 was because I knew there would be a lot of overlap in things I'd already read. And also some things maybe I was kind of not wanting to read. A lot of people did just recommend 1 book, and so if they recommended 1, that's what I went with. But most of them did recommend 3, so I was able to kind of choose the ones that sounded the most appealing to me or sounded the most out of my comfort zone, as the case may be, because I did want to read some things that were different than what I normally would read. So when I started off very strong, and I knocked several of those books off the list almost right away. Then my life kind of blew up in July of last year, and it hasn't really slowed down. I had weight loss surgery, I sold my house, I moved in with my mom, I met my fiance, then I moved again here, and it's just, there's been a lot. So I haven't had as much time to focus on reading, and I didn't really focus on those books in particular when I did read. I'm very much a mood reader, so this is very challenging for me to read books that have been assigned, so to speak, and goes very much against my personality. So I did think that this would kind of help me try something new and read some books that I normally wouldn't. But I did break this vlog up into 3 separate vlogs. So this vlog, I'll cover the first 16, and the next 2 will cover 17 each, for a total of 50. So when I started this, I had 2.5 years to read these books. Now I have less than a year. And I have about 40 something titles still on the list that I have not gotten to. And I actually have a couple of holes, a couple of spots that need to be filled. Kelly, I'm looking at you. Okay, so the first book that was recommended to me was recommended by she was 12 at the time, my now 14-year-old beloved niece, Ellie, who you guys have seen in my vlogs if you watched it all. And Ellie is not a big reader, but I definitely wanted her included in this, and thankfully this came to mind for her right away. So Roller Girl by Victoria Jamieson is a middle grade graphic novel about a girl who becomes interested in roller derby, and she ends up going to a roller derby camp and becoming kind of integrated into this team in a way, or kind of fighting for a spot on this team. With some older girls, I think. It's been a minute since I read it, but I did really enjoy it. I would really like her to write a sequel. I think that would be fantastic. I know she has a couple of other books, I think, but I don't believe she's written anything that's connected specifically to this book. But yeah, this has been read, and I highly recommend it. Book 2 is This Rough Magic by Mary Stewart. This was recommended to me by my mom. My mom was very much into Gothic romances in her youth. And I've known this for many, many years. And there were a lot of them that were still in my grandparents' attic when they were still alive. And my mom, I think, has taken a lot of them back, or had taken a lot of them back when they were still living. And then probably after they passed on, she also got some of those books back. But she had said Mary Stewart, just blanket Mary Stewart books. And so I asked her for a specific title, and she gave me this one and another one. I have started this book. I started this book last year. I'm having a really hard time getting into it. I don't know if it's the way it's written or if it's the premise, but it does have a mystery element. It was written in 1964, I think. I don't do so well with older books, which, is a real shame since I'm a book enthusiast and a reading teacher, but I have a harder time with classics or anything really written before 1990. It's not entirely true, but I am having a hard time getting into this. I will finish it at some point. I will pick it back up. I'm probably a quarter, maybe a third of the way through it so far, but I'm struggling with it a little bit. Book 3 is A Prayer for Owen Meany by John Irving. It is not the only John Irving book on the list, interestingly enough. This was recommended by Parrish, my sister, who you've also seen in the vlogs. Parrish was a English major in college, and specifically in creative writing. And she is to this day still a huge John Irving fan, to the point when I think we were in New Hampshire when my family was visiting me in New England when I lived up there. We had to go see the school that he went to. So I've never actually read anything by John Irving, which is also kind of embarrassing to admit, because he's a very prolific American, like, legendary author. So A Prayer for Owen Meany, I do kind of know a little bit about the premise. I know the movie The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, I feel like, was based on it. So I am excited to dive into this one. I do have it on my Kindle. I bought it like on sale years ago and just haven't gotten to it. The next book is another modern day classic that I have not read. The Heart is a Lonely Hunter by Carson McCullers. This was recommended by my good friend Gina. I don't know anything about this book whatsoever, other than I'm pretty sure Carson McCullers was a lesbian. Is a lesbian? I don't know if she's alive. And I could be totally wrong. I could be embarrassing myself right now. But yeah, I tend to fail in the classics area. Book number 5 is a work of popular fiction, if you will. It is The Street Lawyer by John Grisham. This was recommended by one of the 3 friends of my sisters, who I consider also my sisters. This was recommended by Andy. And I have read The Firm. I feel like I read The Pelican Brief. And I know I read Skipping Christmas, but it's a different genre by John Grisham. But I feel like there's another one that I read by him, and I enjoyed all of those books, so I have no doubt that I will enjoy this one as well. I don't think I've seen any movies or anything that were based on this one. I think there's a movie based on this book, but I am looking forward to that. So that's probably going to be in one of my upcoming TBRs in the next few months. This book I know nothing about. I've never heard of it. I've never heard of the author. It's called A Year on Ladybug Farm by Donna. This was recommended by my friend and my co-teacher, Brittany. And as I said, I know nothing about it. But it seems like maybe it has kind of like some light romance, friendship kind of situation happening. I mean, not together, but light romance and friendship as part of the greater story. I'm going to struggle on pronouncing this name, and I probably should have done a little work beforehand to figure out how to pronounce his name. But the next book is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. This was recommended by my friend James, who is married to one of my best friends, Brianne. And I have heard many people say over the years, and I've had this book for a while too on my Kindle, that this book is one of those books that finds you when the time is right. So I'm interested. I find that compelling. It could be life-changing. We don't know. Okay, number 9 is The Watcher by Dean Koontz. This was recommended by my friend Kelly, not to be confused with my Kelly, and it is a horror novel. I liken Dean Koontz. I've never read anything by him, but I know he is a very prolific horror writer, and I kind of think about Stephen King. They kind of fit into the same, box. Stephen King, whom I have read several things by, thank you very much. So I am looking forward to this one. This probably would have been a good pick for my TBR for October, but I missed the boat on that one. The next book is Endurance. It has a subtitle, Shackleton's Incredible Voyage by Alfred Lansing. This was recommended by a college friend, Brian, and I know it is about whoever the Shackleton guy is. It's nonfiction, and it's about them being stranded somewhere, I think. But I do remember back in my Borders bookseller days, 100 million years ago, that this book was very popular then. I don't know if it came out around that time or if it just had kind of a long life as far as popularity, but Men came in asking for this book a lot. Yeah, okay. Number 11 is also nonfiction. It's Not About the Bike by Lance Armstrong. This was recommended by my former co-teacher and current co-worker, Ruben. And this book was popular. And I think it did come out around the time I was working at Borders in Massachusetts. So I did see this a lot. I never read it, obviously. It just didn't appeal to me. But, you know, I'm willing to give it a try. It's something new and different. It's a challenge. And for book number 12, John Irving comes back into play with The World According to Garp. I remember the movie with Robin Williams and like certain scenes from it in my childhood. But as I said, I've never read anything by John Irving, so this will be a good twofer. Knock both of those out. So I am interested in reading it. I'm curious about it. It'll be in the TBR soon. Okay, this is number 13. This is Ida B and her plan to maximize fun, avoid disaster, and possibly save the world by Katherine Hannigan. This is recommended by another family friend. I think it's a middle grade book. The cover looks very familiar, but I'm not 100% sure. But if it is, I mean, I could, you know, kind of cheat the system a little bit and use this as a read aloud for my 4th graders. Just saying. I might be doing that with a couple of these. Just time. Book 14 is also a middle grade title. This was recommended by a Facebook friend that I'm not friends with in real life, but we have some things in common. Her name's Emily. It is The Miraculous Journey of Edward Tulane by Kate DiCamillo. DiCamillo? I know she wrote Because of Winn-Dixie, which I have read, but this could be a 4th grade read aloud too. Just saying. Okay, I'm gonna butcher this author's name. The next book on the list is Homegoing by Gayasi. I don't know. Again, I should have like done my homework beforehand. I remember this received a lot of attention when it came out. I'm pretty sure Parrish has read it. And I feel like I even had her copy of it in my possession for a while, but never got to it. This was recommended by my friend Ashley. Okay, last book for this vlog. This one is The Stationery Shop by Marion Kamali. This was recommended by another college friend, Courtney, and I know she's a really prolific reader, so I trust her judgment. I feel like we have a lot of the same book interests. And I've seen it around quite a bit, but I don't really know much about it. So I'm curious about this one as well. I'm pretty sure I put this on my TBR in the next 2 months or so. So that's it for part 1 of my 50 by 50 project, or 50 before 50. Both of those work. So stay tuned for parts 2 and 3. Please comment, like, and subscribe. And I'll see you next week. Bye.